Consider this. Is it the best of times or the worst of times in terms of social media? On one hand, it can be used to connect you with friends and family, find a new job opportunity, or even discover a new way to make meatballs. But on the other hand, it can be used for bullying, shaming, and flat out calling out those you think have done you wrong. How do we traverse this ever-changing landscape of social media? We're about to find out. I'm Yvonne Greer, and my guest is Doug Fouts, Director of Marketing at Pearl Companies. Next on Consider This. In just about any social situation you encounter, you're bound to hear some words that sound like, are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? And unfortunately for me, the answer most of the time is no. But should I be? And should you be? We're about to find out. Doug Fouts, welcome to Consider This.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. So just a few weeks ago here on this program, I had an opportunity to have a conversation with Judy Woodruff from the PBS NewsHour. Mm-hmm. And after the show, she said, what's your Twitter handle? And I said, I'm not on Twitter. And she said, you get on Twitter right now. And at that moment, I started thinking, well, I use Facebook, I use LinkedIn. Which social media platforms should we be on if we're somebody who is, doing business in our community, active in volunteer organizations, or maybe has kids who might be using social media? Let's start there. Which outlets are most important?
Well, it's a good question, and there's a lot of factors that go into answering that, because it not only a lot of times breaks down by demographics, it also breaks down by what your usage is for each one of those platforms. So if you look at something like Facebook, which is inarguably the largest and still most pervasive social media platform. Most of the largest growing group on Facebook are women age 45 to 65. And the reason why is because it's become the family album now of staying in contact with kids that have now separated and gone their separate ways across the country. If you talk to teenagers or millennials, and especially on that younger, you're talking about a demographic from 18 to 35, they have now sort of moved off onto the Instagrams and the Snapchats, but it's important to note that Facebook's the demise of Facebook is greatly exaggerated, because they are still overwhelmingly the largest group on Facebook. They're not the fastest growing, but they haven't just completely abandoned that platform. So when you talk about which one should I be on, when you talk about Twitter, if you're wanting to stay in contact with a lot of world events and in things that have immediacy, or you're connecting up with celebrities or personalities, Twitter is a great tool. I will be honest, though, Twitter has not worked its way in to be as pervasive in the Midwest as it has on the coasts yet. So if you're keeping up with news and entertainment, Twitter's great, especially if you want that constant buzz of information. It will ring your phone constantly with new things once you started to connect and follow people.
Yes, I've begun to discover that.
You have discovered that.
But when it comes to terms of just finding out what's going on in your own community, Facebook is still it.
Facebook is still usually the biggest thing. And then, like I said, you've got Snapchat. What's happened is all of those platforms, though, have all started to evolve. So Snapchat isn't what Snapchat was even 3-4 years ago. They've actually evolved to really start to curate micro-formatted video content. So Snapchat went
So let's back up just a moment and talk about what Snapchat is. That's the one where whatever you do disappears?
Right. Snapchat originally was a way in which to share micro-formatted video, so short frame video within a few seconds, that would then alert, if someone was on your Snapchat list, it would alert them that you've just sent them something to watch. Once you've watched it, it disappears.
Got it.
So you have a certain time frame once you've opened that file. Well, Snapchat then realized, it really rose to prominence, and a whole bunch of migration went, and everyone started using the platform. But the gimmick started to wear thin, and they realized we're going to have to become more than just a sharing program between people who are on their Snapchat lists. So they went out, very smart, and started to connect up with CNN, MTV, Food Network, and they started to curate content that also disappears as a daily feed. So you can go in and, for example, Madonna, when she released her last single, did it exclusively on Snapchat.
And so when the day is done, so is that video, and you don't have access to it anymore.
That's exactly right. So
which creates that demand.
That's right. You want to stay in that feed so you know what's going on and you don't miss out on. If one of your friends said, "Did you see?" and you didn't catch it, you're going to have to keep going back to that platform. So it was a very smart move on their part.
Now, what is Instagram? Forgive me, I'm not on it.
Instagram is really, it started as a very simple photo sharing program that would then easily allow you to share photos and give you kind of a quick ability to edit your photos, to crop them, to give them a certain flair or a lens that you could kind of do a little bit of work with your photo, and then you could share it easily across multiple platforms. So you could send it out on Facebook. Obviously, Instagram has its own feed that you can start, but it allows you that once you've cropped your photo, you can tag it and then set it out there, and it very easily then disperses it across multiple social media platforms. It has now since, again, evolved. So you can share little video clips as well. I mean, video is really pretty much the fastest growing and probably most persuasive content that you can put out on any social media platform, whether you're a business or you're an individual. Video is going through the roof and just continues to climb, but it has to always come back to the shorter is better.
So what about YouTube then, with all of the other outlets starting to employ the use of video? Will YouTube have less of a following?
YouTube is actually the second largest search engine on the web now. And YouTube is very versatile. So YouTube is a social media platform, but it is also something that you can use where you want to easily embed video files into a website. If you want to easily embed a file onto a Facebook post, you can use YouTube. But what you're starting to see with YouTube is videos are starting to get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter on YouTube because audiences' attention spans, the Center for Biotechnology just released last year a report that said the average adult in the United States, their attention span is about 8 to 9 seconds.
Oh.
Right.
That's not very much.
And in that same report, at a 1 second, we were in a 1 second deficit to a goldfish. So what has happened is, because we have this constant feed of content coming to us from all of these platforms, we have now had to really hone our ability to quickly shift between all of these streams, which means when we watch a YouTube video now, what's the first thing most people do when they even look to see, do I want to press play?
How long it is?
They look at the time signature and go, and now we're at that place of going, oh, that's 3 minutes. I'm not waiting that long. I won't sit through that. So one of the biggest sharing platforms for video is Vine, developed by Twitter. That gives you 6 seconds. Every video's got to be 6 seconds. Businesses have picked up on that because now they're using it to get their message out in a way that, number one, doesn't require any sound. Because when's the time you're usually checking your streams from all of these sources? On your phone.
Yep.
So you're flipping through, and now you'll notice that if it's on Facebook, for example, you see a video clip.
And it starts running automatically.
It starts running with no sound. And then you're making a decision based on what you see. Do I even want to click that to even hear what it is? Well, the trick with Vine and companies using Vine is if I click that and I watch your 6 second video, you've got your marketing message out to me before I even realize it's a sales tool. 6 seconds is up. I've already given you my pitch. It's made marketers become much more creative, where every second has to count to be able to say something very quickly and sometimes without sound.
And that's a whole nother level of conversation about what's happening to us, that we're getting our information so quickly and so much of it.
That's
I mean,
right.
think about how much information you can get into your head all day if you've got these 8-second bites of information coming in. But I
right.
won't go there. I'm going to stay on topic, or at least try to anyway.
Okay.
And so the social media platform for business that I know of is LinkedIn. Is that still the most prevalent one?
LinkedIn is actually more prevalent now than even Twitter. It's actually growing faster than Twitter is. Twitter has more actual users, but it's growing at a much less rate than LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually changing a lot, and they have rolled out a whole lot of new features where, yes, before it was sort of that 6 degrees of separation where you'd go out and try and link up with other business leaders, or people would use it for jobs or searching for employees, which it still is for that. You really don't get a lot of advantage to it. If you want to get the most advantage, you're going to end up with some kind of a premium membership to really use it for HR purposes.
Okay.
But one of the things that they have done is really started to develop a much more robust group setting where now I can go out and find like-minded people and build a community around a topic, a career occupation, and I can start almost using it as a mini blog, and I can pull people in to have conversations about things. You know, I belong to a group within LinkedIn that's all about chief marketing officers, and so we are constantly getting topics to discuss and chew on together, and you build relationships that way, and it's much more beneficial than just reaching out and saying, I don't know you, but I would like to link with you. And people are saying, I don't know what the connection here is, but if I have now brought you into a community and we have started to dialogue.
Now you have a professional resource.
Now I reach out to you and say, I would like to link with you. And you say, yes, I know you now. And so we link together. And now I am linked to you and all of your downline, so I can start looking to see the people who you know and start to make those connections as well. So it's a great tool, but it's not the only tool for businesses.
So all of this is sort of the brighter side of social media. There is a darker side that I know you're very well aware of. When sometimes people use social media to demean others, I've seen with my own eyes people calling out affairs by one spouse or another, poor service at a business, or taking pictures of people and putting them there because you know there's been some sort of egregious act at the grocery store. I mean, at what point do we say, here's the etiquette? Is there a rule book, so to speak, about how to use these platforms? There
is no rule book except the ones that are being developed by the actual platforms themselves. So if you notice Facebook, and we keep using that because, again, it's kind of the 800-pound gorilla. When you look at what Facebook does, it's constantly revising its rule set of what it will allow. It's constantly opening up opportunities of discussion of should that person or that discussion be banned, and how can we have our own members police the content that's out there. So if you find something that's questionable, objectionable, you find cyberbullying, you are able to more easily flag it to bring it to their attention so that they can either shut it down, hide it, shut down the account. So each one of the platforms sort of is developing its own set of rules and etiquette. There are probably some basic rules in play when you're talking about whether it's your children trying to figure out what they should be on. I have a 14-year-old daughter. I don't allow her. She still doesn't have a Facebook account.
Mine either.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. And I've asked her many times. She said, yes, many of her friends have accounts. I've asked her, have you missed out on anything not having it? So far, she doesn't really feel like she has. So I think that kind of determines, each parent kind of determines what the rules are. But I will say this, teaching your children some basic facts such as what we were talking about, you know, when you put something out there, it's out there. And even Snapchat, you can say, well, that just disappears and goes away. It still is somewhere. Nothing just disappears into the ether. It still stays out there.
And did I not just read something about them now saying, well, if you pay a fee or something, you can get it back or see it again?
That's exactly right. And so even when you think, well, that I can either erase it, I can delete it, it's gone, nothing really disappears. When you're talking about the web itself, everything sort of remains out there somewhere on a server. And even Snapchat talks about the fact that they purge their servers every so often. I would not count on that to say nothing will ever come back to haunt me. So you have to start teaching your kids what you say, what you do, certainly the pictures that you show, the videos that you post. It absolutely has become standard policy for most businesses and HR departments to start doing investigations. Or my wife actually works for an insurance company, and when they're investigating fraud, social media is one of the platforms they go to start investigating and digging into people's lives because people they self-report everything now.
Yes, and so you may say you got injured on the job and were incapacitated, but then on Facebook you're dancing on top of a bar table.
That's exactly right. Or here I am playing softball, and here I am, and people don't think about the fact that it is out there and it's public now. It's for public viewing. So, you know, getting your kids more in tune with the fact of, you may think you're just talking to your group of friends, but when you're placing something out there, it's out there.
Well, and for grown-ups as well. I mean, if you're looking for a new job opportunity, I mean, do employers actively look at people's Facebook pages and LinkedIn pages to see what they've been up to before they consider hiring?
Absolutely. So all of those, the adults who are posting objectionable content, those are things that HR is going to flag immediately. If they see problems, if they see issues, if they see behaviors or certain inclinations, they're going to flag that, and it can cause damage when you're trying to go out and start a career, continue a career, start a job, find a job. Those things will come back.
How did you come to love this so much? Because it's obvious how passionate you are.
Well, it's one of those things where my kids are growing up in a world now where they don't know a world without these platforms. It's in their DNA. I've had to learn it. I'm 46 years old, and so I didn't have all of these things, but in moving into the marketing field, my degree is in sociology, and so I like studying groups of people and why they do what they do. Well, that lent itself very well to marketing, and social media is just a massive sociological experiment all the time.
It really is.
And it has effects on people. You know, Harvard Business School did a report that this is several years ago, where they were talking about not only the psychological but the physiological effects of social media on society. And what it has done to us is fascinating, in some ways in good, in some ways in bad. It has connected us and made the world much smaller. And certain things, certain benefits are obviously being derived from it, whether it's reaching your consumers, or if you're a band or in entertainment trying to get your message or your material out there. It's not like you got a tour for years now.
You have to go to a record company
That's
and beg.
exactly right. But on the flip side of that, all you have to do is go into a restaurant, sit down with your family, and look around at tables all around you of families just like you and realize people aren't talking.
I know, that's troublesome to me.
It absolutely is. And it's one of those psychological things that have happened where they sit down, dad's on his email, checking his email from work, mom's on Pinterest, the kids may be either playing a game or they're on Facebook, and they'll go entire 20, 30, 45-minute stretches and no one says a word to anybody. That, I think, is a real problem, not to mention the fact, and this is something that Harvard brought out in their report, a sense of continued dissatisfaction with people's lives. And where that stems from is, when you think about it 10, 20 years ago, if it's Friday night and you've got nothing going on and you want to throw your sweats on and order a pizza and just watch TV, you didn't feel bad about it, you just did it. Now, they have what everyone has now coined the term FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
Where I have this feed that comes to me of, I sit there with this sense of discontent of, wow, there's my friend at that concert and they're taking this vacation, and I'm constantly looking at it with a pang of, I wish I was there doing that. I feel bad about what I don't have or what I'm not experiencing because they're at the front row of that concert and I wish I was there. It has caused that psychological unrest in us.
And I know that's very real because I've had people in my own life say similar things. You know, everybody was together for that holiday and I wasn't, or everybody went to
Yes.
that concert and I didn't. How do they reconcile those feelings? Would you recommend some non-screen time for those of us who are feeling overwhelmed by everything that we're seeing and having those FOMO experiences?
Well, I think that I've talked to a lot of families, and one of the things that is sort of becoming a trend now is when families get together, or maybe it's around the dinner table, which used to sort of be the time when families came together and everybody talked about their day.
Yes.
Or Christmas is now coming up and saying, all right, we're going to have a holiday party. There's more of a movement to saying, all right, here's a basket or a jar. Okay, put your phone in that basket and no one gets to touch it. So we're going to eat dinner and no one gets a chance to look at the phone. I don't care if it's a work, I don't care if it's a school friend, or no one except we're going to talk. And you kind of have to force that issue now. Or the same thing with a get together is, all right, when you come in, you take your shoes off and you put your phone in the basket, and now we're just going to actually fellowship together. We're going to talk. I think having that or having more of a parental movement to say, look, we're going to have a game night. We're going to actually interact with each other somehow. We're going to go and do some sports. We're going to get out and ride our bikes. And you're going to have to force the issue to get people out and get their eyes off of that screen. In fact, I just saw an article on my way over here where an artist is now given the rendition of what people would look like if we could actually see them connected to their devices. And their faces are now kind of stretched out and drawn right in, and people are walking by or sitting at tables or sitting in park benches, and everyone's face is drawn into the screen and no one's talking or paying attention to anything that's going on around them, whether it's nature or other people. It's a real danger, and we're going to have to push back against that at some point.
Wow. So let me recap here. So if I am a 45 to 65-year-old woman who just wants to stay connected with my family and friends and share my photos, Facebook is still the #1 place to be.
Absolutely.
If I'm a teenager or a millennial looking to connect with other folks in my age group, then it's Instagram and Snapchat.
Yep, I would say it's good.
If I'm a business owner looking to stay connected with others who are in my industry, then LinkedIn is the place to go.
I would say that's probably a good summation.
And if I want to figure out how to do anything else, then it's YouTube.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So where do you see us headed as we extrapolate out? I know there's this inherent concern about too much information coming in too quickly and too much screen time taking us away from our individual relationships. As far as these social media platforms, do you see us sort of coming together, or will it always be this big segmented everybody reaching out to offer one new thing to get everybody to shift?
Well, I think what you're going to see is what we have been seeing continually from the very beginning. So when someone comes up with an idea or a slant or a twist or a new way to which connect people socially, you're going to see the larger organizations like Facebook or like a YouTube or even a Google who are going to want to buy that, snap it up, and then make it a part of the feature of their own platforms. So once somebody starts talking about video sharing and Vine came out, now we're talking about Periscope and Meerkat, which are going to be live video sharing in a micro format for social media platforms.
And I can't believe it. I am actually aware of those. And those are the ones where you could go to a concert, and if you have that application, you can just broadcast it.
That's right. That's right. And so once those things start to happen and that will catch on, all the other platforms will follow suit and start grabbing, either building their own platforms, or they're going to go out and find a startup that's already doing it, and they're going to roll it right into their own platform. And it's going to continue to, the actual behaviors of society are going to feed what those features are. That's one of the great things about social media and one of the inherent dangers for businesses. Businesses, their biggest mistake is they want to treat social media platforms like a business.
And it's its own living, breathing, changing entity.
It's not called social media for nothing. It's all about being social. And so I don't go on Facebook or I don't go on Twitter to be sold a product. I go on there for content that I care about or people that I've built a community with. So what happens is businesses have got to start producing, and you're going to see more and more of this. Craig Davis, who's the CEO of Brand Karma, had a great statement where he said, companies that are trying to market their products are going to have to stop being an interruption to what people are interested in and become what people are interested in. So the evolution that you're going to see is as businesses still try to connect with consumers, you're going to see more of companies, and I don't care if you're selling insurance, if you're selling widgets, or if you're a steel manufacturing plant, you're going to have to figure out how to create content that people actually care about in order to bring them over and make a potential customer or client out of them. You're going to keep seeing that evolution take place because we don't live in a day and age anymore where we have a captive audience. And it's really created havoc. Social media in that respect has created havoc because it used to be, like I said, I'm 46. So when I was growing up, if you wanted to catch your show at 7 o'clock on Thursdays, every company that tried to reach that demographic knew, I've got you. You're going to be on your couch at 7 o'clock on Thursdays, and if I put my commercial there, you're going to watch. It's not like that anymore. We are in control of the content we consume.
And that commercial could reach you anywhere.
That's right. And so, or it can reach me nowhere because now, since I'm in control of my content, I'll watch my show whenever I want to watch it, and I'll watch it without commercials. So businesses are trying to figure out, wow, I have to figure out now not only a demographic, I've got to start figuring out all the pathways in which you walk so that I can not intrude on that path. I can plant myself in your path with content that's interesting enough, entertainment, informational, educational, that you will take a precious few seconds to stop and say, what is that? Take a look at it, and then maybe I can lead you back with additional content I can bring you over to where you might become a customer. You're going to keep seeing that evolution take place. We're at the beginning stages of that.
That is so, so fascinating. We might have to come and revisit this conversation once again because I still have so many questions and we're almost out of time. But I want to say thank you, Douglas Fouts from Pro Companies, for being with us here on Consider This. What a wealth of information you have rolling around inside you. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us here on Consider This. It has been quite an interesting conversation, and I hope that your head is spinning just like mine is on how you're going to take this information back to your home or your place of work and figure out how to traverse that social media superhighway way in ways that are beneficial to you and yours. Thanks again for watching us here on Consider This, and as always, we like to take a look at a featured artist of the week.
I guess I always wanted to please people. And when I would draw and when I would paint, I would create something that would bring a smile on somebody's face, especially if I drew them. And I've always liked to draw ever since I was a little kid. I drew my brothers and sisters and cartoons, and it's always something very deep inside my soul that I always wanted to quench that thirst to really create. I was a commercial artist for a while, and my career seemed to be going, but as happens to a lot of people, you get sidetracked, and I got kind of hung up in management and in sales and things like that, and had a really good media career, but I always had this burning desire to really continue to draw and paint. And when I was at Illinois State, I did my internship at WEEK-TV, and I created a lot of the art cards. When they decided to bring back the Captain Chink show, they asked me if I'd be interested in being the ship artist, to come onto the show 2 days a week and actually show kids how to cartoon and draw. And it was a fun time in my life, and it was great because at that point it did help reinvigorate again my interest in art and caricature and drawing, and to connect with kids all over Central Illinois was great. Probably about 15 years ago, my wife, almost as a joke, got me a Bob Ross class. And I went and I kind of giggled to myself about it, but I found out that I really enjoyed it. And I got into it and I started painting, and I started doing oil painting and watercolors, and just really enjoyed it. And then I had this idea to paint something local. And my very first painting was of the square in Metamora, the gazebo. And I found out what people really wanted is they wanted something, they like art, they wanted something that really touched them. When I do caricatures, for example, most people are freaked out that I'm going to make the big nose and big ears, and a little bit more realistic than that as a caricature artist. And sometimes I call them personal portraits. I really like to look right into somebody's eyes and grab a little bit of that person's personality. It goes back to being a real little kid, 3 or 4 years old, grabbing anything that I could, whether it be a paper bag or anything, and just start doodling. And that's the essence of it. It's very basic, and I think that somebody that has a drive to do something, like I do for art, or like an athlete or a musician, that's always there. And that's where it starts.
Our thanks to our featured artist of the week, and once again to Douglas Fouts, Director of Marketing at Pearl Companies, for all of that wonderful information on social media. And of course, thank you for being with us here on Consider This. I'm Yvonne Greer. We'll see you next time.